Hello and welcome to the Webcast for Wednesday, April 1st. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. Visible satellite this morning shows generally a lot of cloud cover over the region, but some areas seeing sunshine as well, such as portions of the deserts and the Central Valley. And rainfall from yesterday and overnight has largely tapered off this morning as we find ourselves in a very brief break in between two weather systems. Here's a look at about how much rain has fallen so far. In Central California, things have pretty much performed as expected, and if anything, totals have been a little underwhelming in the Sierra, but those areas aren't done with rainfall quite yet. The big surprise, though, is a fairly narrow but pronounced stripe of much heavier than expected rainfall across a portion of Southern California. Many areas from the Ventura County coast eastward into LA County, the Inland Empire, and the San Bernardino Mountains saw a solid quarter-inch to 1 inch and even locally higher of rainfall, which was very much above forecast projections, perhaps due in part to the much warmer than normal ocean waters off our coastline, leaving more moisture available for this storm to tap into. Totals did decrease markedly to the south of that heavy band, with very little rainfall over most of Orange, southern Riverside, and San Diego counties. As we look at the projected radar for the remainder of today and into tomorrow, we will continue to see areas of wet weather as the second part of this storm system moves in, but with this second component being further north, it will really just be the Sierra region seeing any meaningful rainfall from here, with no more than nuisance showers and sprinkles elsewhere. By Thursday morning or midday, any shower activity should taper off as drier weather returns. And so in terms of additional rainfall, most areas are just about done already, but an additional quarter-inch to 1 inch of rain is likely for much of the Sierra region, especially the further north you go. Snow levels will be fairly high, but coming down a little in the range of about 7,000 to 8,000 feet. While a lot of areas aren't seeing too much rain, we are all benefiting from much cooler weather amidst this unsettled stretch. Here's a look at today's forecast highs, with valleys mostly topping out in the upper 60s to mid-70s. These numbers are only a little below average, but a far cry from where we were over most of the month of March. And humidity is much higher as well, with nearly all areas seeing minimum humidity well above 30% through Thursday. Gusty southwest to northwest winds will continue across the mountain ridges and desert passes through Thursday evening. On Thursday, we'll start to see more of that northwesterly and eventually more northerly component as troughing begins to depart. And then as we head into the end of the week, we're going to head back into familiar territory as troughing departs into the interior west and another area of high pressure builds in over California, albeit definitely not as strong as the high pressure we saw for most of last month. One thing we will see as that high pressure builds in is a shift to offshore flow, and it continues to look like a weak Santa Ana wind event will affect the region on Friday and Saturday. Northeast winds of 15 to 25 miles per hour with gusts to 40 miles per hour will surface across the mountains and below the canyons and passes of Southern California during that time, with some locally higher gusts possible in the windiest spots on Friday. The offshore flow and building high pressure will bring a sharp rise in temperatures, with strong warming beginning on Friday and continuing into the weekend, by which time valley highs will be back well into the 80s. Here's a look at Saturday's forecast highs. And we'll see a big drop in humidity as well. Minimum humidity will drop mainly into the single digits and teens away from the San Joaquin Valley by Friday and into the weekend. By Sunday, winds will become light, but warm and dry weather will continue, and in fact, Sunday will probably be our warmest day of the next 7 overall. By early to mid next week, most indications are for at least a slight cooling trend and possibly some light rain shower chances as well by the middle of next week, but we're not expecting any major storminess, and generally uneventful weather will probably be the main theme for most of next week. The historically hot weather in March helped drive dead fuel moistures to near or below record dry values for this time of year over a widespread area and across really all time lag classes. We're getting some relief this week, but as offshore flow and very dry air returns late this week, we will see those dead fuel moistures drop again, especially in the finer fuels. In terms of fire potential, despite areas of windy conditions, the cool and humid weather is really going to limit potential for the next couple of days, and no significant issues are expected. Things will change a little bit on Friday and Saturday as much warmer, drier, and windier conditions develop. Of course, many of our fuels do remain in the live category, and live fuel moistures remain high. But the March heat did begin to induce significant curing of the low-elevation grasses, and while some areas continue to enjoy green grass, we do have a sizable and growing segment of the lower elevations that have moved into a more cured summer-like state. And so as those Santa Ana winds develop, fire potential will increase at least a little Friday and into Saturday as well, again just focused on those targeted cured grass fuel beds. Potential will also be limited by the moisture received this week and the fact that the winds themselves will be fairly marginal, especially by Saturday. By Sunday and into next week, large fire potential should drop further as winds become light, though some light IA will remain likely as grasses continue to cure and dead fuel moistures remain below normal. That's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. The next one will be on Friday, April 3rd.